Hello guys, I think we can now begin. For those who are yet to join, they're going to find us mbele. So before we even start, I will just want to request you guys to just to personalize the experience right now here. If you can just say your name up kwa chat section and the programming language that you kind of comfortable with, so that when you reach the part where we'll be coding out the solutions, we see which one you can choose, depending on the what do you call it, the many of them, let's say. So Steven, JavaScript, Matrix, sawa. Matrix naona umeamua tu tumalize na ndovu. Kenneth, Python, PHP, Nyaga, JavaScript, Python. Hey. Felix Kuria, unafanya hadi that for backend. Naona tu PHP, Python, JavaScript, Node at least. JavaScript better. Node.js, awesome. So let's just begin for the benefit of time so that we finish up earlier. So I'm Rizwan, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this session. I hope we're going to learn a lot from each other. So before I begin, let me thank Fred. Fred is from Specia Tech, for those who are active on Twitter. And also he is the CEO of Mentalist. And I requested him to help me moderate the session, because when we start and I share the screen, I won't be able to see the requests of people who want to join in. So he'll be helping me in that part. And also, in case there is any question that is asked on the chat section, he's also going to inform me about the same. So Fred, thank you very much for volunteering to moderate this session. If I can give you like maybe a minute to just introduce yourself and tell these awesome people who you are and what you do quickly.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Rizwan. I think this is a very nice initiative. So and it also shows, the numbers also show that Kenyans and even East Africans, because I can see guys representing their countries in East Africa and Central. It means that there's a thirst for learning, and that the tech sector is going to continue to thrive. So my name is Fred Ouko, and Rizwan is my close friend, the best teacher that I know. So I think you guys are in very safe hands, and welcome to this space. Yeah.
So thank you. I think I can also allow you to personally allow you to maybe you didn't mention that because of maybe conflict of interest, but if you can just mention about the product that you guys are building at Specia Tech, because I believe it's going hand in hand with whatever you're doing here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So for those maybe who may not know, is that we have a mentorship platform. And mentorship, you're going to realize, especially if you're a beginner, you're going to realize that mentorship is very important. What Rizwan is doing right now is just giving you guys free mentorship and in form of guidance on where to start on some of these things. So at Mentalist, we provide this on a larger scale. So we have a couple of people like Rizwan, who, when you log into Mentalist, you can book a session with them, a personal one-on-one, or even a session like this, a group session like this, and they can show you around the tech ecosystem. So we have very many mentors there, like we have over 200, and I think even Rizwan is one of them. And also we hold sessions like this in Python, that is Django. We hold in Figma, that is design, in React, in CSS, Node.js. So you can check out mentalist.com. So maybe let me just put the link, mentalist.com, and just sign up and check around the platform, and you'll get good things. So otherwise, thank you so much, Rizwan, and I think we can begin.
Okay, thank you too. So let's get started with this. Allow me to share my screen so that we can proceed. Just a minute. At some point, I'll have to close the video. I believe you're here to learn, not to look at my ugly face. So let me just share the screen. Okay, so you guys can just confirm whether the screen is visible enough. Awesome, that's okay. Okay. So we're here tonight to discuss about M-Pesa online payment integrations. So you guys know that almost everything right now is going online, and anything that goes online should be sustainable. So many of the programs that are going online are programs that need the payment to be integrated into them, because we have the rise of e-commerces in more so in Kenya right now. We have the mass realization of businesses that they have seen other businesses that went online that are having very huge successes. Like, for example, for those who are in TikTok, we have the Shiko lady. So she has like made people believe that for you to thrive, you must have an online business, an e-commerce site where people can just order their products and receive them, right? So these are a skill that many of any developers, whether you're a developer, whether you're a designer, or whether you're just interested in tech or even business in general, you should at least understand how to collect online payments, how it is done, what is required, and everything. So that's our main business for today, just discussing about M-Pesa online integrations and basically everything about that. So before I proceed, I would like this to be kind of not much interactive, but at least a learning experience. So if anybody has a question at any point of when I'll be presenting, you can just raise your hand. I think Fred is going to catch that. He's just going to inform me. Then we're going to stop from there and probably sort that issue before we proceed. But there's some other questions that when they're left to be answered later, they lose meaning. The other thing is if you are anyone among the audience and probably you don't understand Swahili, just write on the comment on the chat section there so that I know, because at some point I'll be switching to Kiswahili. English is not our language and it gets complicated at times. You might be looking for a word and you don't know exactly what to say. So in case there's anybody in the audience that doesn't understand Kiswahili, then they can just also probably just say on the chat so that I try as much as I can to remember all the English words that I was taught. Sawa. So integrating payments. Integrating payments to your websites can be done through different ways. The most common one is by using API gateways, which basically these are just companies that have decided to bring all the payment integrations in one place where you just use one interface to integrate all those payments instead of you going the hard way of doing it one after the other. But this also has their own limitation, because if they're doing all this work for you, then they need to earn something from it. So they'll obviously charge you more than that. But eventually, they'll also tap into the M-Pesa APIs that are provided. So it would be like a fourth party to say, because they're using M-Pesa to integrate it. Then again, you are using their API. So it's like they have to take the burden of M-Pesa charges and also add their own profit to probably. So that's why I say that if you get the chance or you have the ability to integrate M-Pesa directly to your websites, then better, because you'll be saving yourself a lot of you'll be saving yourself a lot of things. Yeah. So what's our business today? Here we are about to talk about, we're here to talk and learn about how we can enable web and mobile application to accept online payments seamlessly. So we're just going to integrate M-Pesa. And before we go long, who am I? I'm just a very simple person. I'm Rizwan Amisi. The correct spellings on the ID is RIDHWAN, Rizwan. So the Z is just there, but for simplicity, that is because I'm from the coast. So nilipokuja Nairobi or interacting with people who are not from the coast, it becomes very difficult to pronounce it the way it's supposed to be pronounced. That's why I decided to like just remove the DH and put the Z so that we don't have a long. And again, also when I tell people I'm called this, it's like in jina yako ya ID, like kwani hujaisikia jina kama hii, because mi penye natoka we have almost 7 people who are called the same thing. I'm a software developer. I do work as a software developer, primarily on the back end, but I'd also do the front end for my own personal stuff. Recently, I found a passion in indie hacking. So we talk about indie hacking is not breaking into systems and stuff because of the word hack. I don't know exactly why the word hack is even here, but indie hacking is basically just a solo developer who decides to come up with solutions and package them in a way that they can be profitable to them. So let's say building SaaS products, you just build a very small project that you can monetize by yourself, right? They have one of them being creative stores. I also have a WhatsApp API integration that is appywap.com. And there's code with Riz right now. I just finished building it. And there is another one that I'll be finishing by the end of December. Yeah, I'm also a founder. Indie hacking and founding is just one and the same, only that being a founder is kind of superior because with indie hacking, you build a very tiny project. Mostly they normally have only one feature. They don't have a lot of things and they don't manage a huge team and everything. But being a founder means that now you'll have to look at all other aspects of how you can scale your business. Yeah, so that's me. And so what we're going to be discussing here, this is the roadmap of what we will go through. Number one is because we are integrating paybill, you are integrating M-Pesa payments. We're going to look at the paybill or till number application. Which one are you supposed to apply for and which one is it possible to be integrated to our website? The other thing, we're going to look at the APIs available because remember, Safaricom is the one that builds for us the Daraja API. So that means that if you're a developer and you build an API, you have specific things that you're exposing. You don't expect something that is not built already. So you might have somebody asking you a question about maybe how can I send money to another person programmatically, right? So if you don't know exactly what APIs are provided, you might give that person a wrong answer simply because you cannot send money from a person to a person. It's very possible to do it, but whoever is providing us the APIs has not given us the provision to do that. So we're going to look at the available APIs, what exactly can be possible with the Daraja, what exactly can you do with it? And the other thing, the main focus will be the SDK code walkthrough. If you get the time, we're going to build it by ourselves here from start to finish. But if we don't get that time, then I'm just going to walk you through a code of integrating M-Pesa SDK push. And again, as much as I said, you guys to mention the programming languages that you use, the programming language that you use, it doesn't matter at all with this talk here, because this is about the architecture and the design itself. So whatever the architecture that I'm going to use and the design that I'm going to use applies to whatever language that you do, just provided that you can just make API calls. That's the main thing here. Then we're going to talk about security for whatever we are building, because remember here we are handling money. And unless you want to learn it the hard way, then security is very important, because there are mistakes that can be rectified, but there are mistakes that will cost you big time. So if you're dealing with money, make sure you put a lot of security inside your applications. So we're going to look at what of this, the common vulnerabilities that you might maybe expose yourself to, as well as how you can manage them. And you're going to look at offline payments also. If you've seen the rise of systems where people buy airtime using a paybill and everything. They don't have to go to a site. They don't have to go to an app or anything. So that's how to handle the offline payments, which API is provided, and how is it done, and how different is it from the ones that are done online. Then we're also going to mention about the B2C payments. So if for you who have won things online, where you find that you place a bet, you win a bet, and you get money sent to your phone programmatically, we're going to look at that. And finally, the common problems that you face, because I've been doing M-Pesa integration for the last, let's say, 3 years. And I made a YouTube video 2 years ago. And since then, the funny thing is, we have even people who think that I work for Safaricom, which I don't. And also, let me leave that as a disclaimer here. Whatever I'll be sharing here will be on my own personal experience. I'm not affiliated to M-Pesa in any way. I'm not affiliated to Safaricom in any way. I don't work for Safaricom. I don't work for M-Pesa. I'm not affiliated with M-Pesa in any way. So don't come to my inbox once I say, your APIs have a problem. You have people who come to me and blame me like, you guys are building very bad APIs. And I'm like, I'm also an API user just like you. So mbona unaanza kuniambia building a bad Daraja API system and this and that. Yeah, so the reference that we'll be using here, we have some different references. Tried as much as I can to write some few documentations on the same, because we have people complaining about the official documentation. So we'll be using some few of the documentation that I wrote. There's this one that I wrote 2 years ago. That is, if you go to this link, you'll find a documentation here that includes snippets for, Node.js, Python, and PHP. Then we have this other one here that is just for Next.js, of which the first few explanations can work for anything, and those are the most important ones. Actually, the code of writing M-Pesa integration is very simple, but now understanding these two concepts, how to apply for a till number, the whole process, and also how to get those credentials. So this, I think, can provide a very good walkthrough for us here. Yeah. So these are the two main resources that we will be using together with the official Daraja documentation. So if I go to that, Daraja, yeah, so if you go to developer.safaricom.co.ke, you'll find the official Daraja documentation that is listed there. So we're going to use these three resources as our main point of reference. Okay. Yeah, so I think up to there, unless there's any question, I think we can probably proceed. Allow me to answer some few guys from TikTok. Then I end the TikTok live because nikaita nchanganya huko. So whoever is listening from TikTok and whoever has joined the session on Google Meet from TikTok, just kindly copy the link or paste here. In the next 5 minutes, we'll be ending the live. So paybill / till number application, which one is best for integrating, and what's the application process like? So number one, when you aim to integrate M-Pesa integration to your website, choosing whether to apply for a till number or a paybill is very important, because both of these have limitations of their own. They have their own pros and cons. So depending on your use case, you'll decide on which one to use. And I think I've documented this very well here. So if you come here, you'll see that before you go through the hectic application process, let's look at about which one should you use, either a paybill or a till number. So the short answer is it depends. Simply because, number one, a paybill and a till number, the application process is similar, not even almost similar. They are exactly similar when you need to integrate them for payments. When you want to use them for the normal way as you use them as a business, then there's a difference in this one. Doesn't require, the till number doesn't require a lot of detail. The paybill requires so. But if you intend to later integrate them to a website, then all of them have the same requirements, that is. And if I would advise, then I would advise you to go for a paybill. The main reason is because right now we have the data protection policy that when you receive the webhooks from Safaricom, they're normally having like the phone number is hashed, so you don't get the phone number and the details of the one who was paid. The only way to do this is the user who is paying you to accept and give you their details. So that's why you see that you're told that enter this paybill number. Then if you're paying for KPLC tokens, then you'll be told to enter your account number as the meter number. So they'll be using that account number to identify your transaction. So if you use a till number, you don't have the privilege to use that. So at times it will be very difficult for you. If you're using online payments alone, you want to integrate them on a certain website or a web app, then the till number and the paybill number, all of them work the same. But if you later intend to handle offline payments where somebody can pay just from the SIM toolkit and you receive the callback and handle it, then the till number will not be very much helpful for that case. So if you need to choose any, go for the paybill simply because the requirements are the same. If you can, apply for both. If you don't want stress, just apply for both because it's as simple as duplicating the documents and sending 2 different requests. They'll give you the paybill, they'll also give you the till number. But when you're applying, also be very careful because we have paybills that you get from either other institutions because the root of all these paybills are from Safaricom. But you might find a certain company, or let's say a certain bank, gives you a paybill number. Those paybills cannot be integrated on M-Pesa integration unless that provider gives you an API access. Because when you look at the requirements of integrating or the keys that we need, only the owners of that paybill can access those keys. So I think I've just ended your TikTok app, but let's just proceed. So only the paybill owners can access that. So many a times you get a person who wants like he needs M-Pesa integrated to a website. The first question that you should ask that person is, where did you get your paybill from? If they don't understand what you're trying to tell them, ask them, does your paybill require a specific account number? Your pesa ikufikie. If that is the case, then just simply tell them that unless that bank provides an API access, then that thing cannot be integrated. Just apply a paybill from Safaricom. The same thing to a till number. You have till numbers that settle to a mobile phone. It will be very difficult for you to get the admin details for that. So if somebody has a till number that ina settle kwa phone yake, enye akilipa unapata, mostly these ones that are applied for by ID numbers, the requirements is just a simple ID number. Those ones will be very difficult to integrate because unless you know somebody from Safaricom when you have to process here the admin details, other than that, if you apply using the normal way, they'll obviously reject that because they expect that you are a company. So they'll ask you for the company details and stuff. Yeah, so if you can, go for a paybill. If you can also, the better off just apply for both. What is required? Number one, you have an application form.
Washinita kwa imani.
Fred, zima hii kitu bana. Fred, kwani Diani siku hizi mmeanza kuchoma pia?
Poleni.
Okay. So I was talking about the requirements to apply for a till or a paybill. So one, the application form, you'll find it there. I think let's use this other one. This is kind of updated. Yeah. So these are the requirements. So you need an application form. You can download it from here. Then there's a tariff guide. Now this one is where now you have pay bills. If you remember, you can have pay bills that normally charge you for making transactions. And we have pay bills that are free, kind of. So it's about the tariff that you choose when you're applying for that pay bill. There's a tariff where the business takes in the cost. There's a tariff where the customer takes in the cost itself. And there's another one called the mgao tariff that you split the bills. That's why unapata most of the pay bills use that because the transaction costs are shared between the business and the customer. But if you want your customers to have the experience of a till number, you can just decide to choose the tariff that you take all the bills. So the transaction cost inakatwa upande wako. Then there's an account opening form. These are just random documents that you just fill in. Then there's admin account creation form. Then there's an admin sample letter. Now, this is the difference between just a normal pay bill and a pay bill that you intend to integrate to a website. Because a normal pay bill, you don't need all these other things. Uhitaji hizi mbili hapa. But for a pay bill that you intend to integrate to, you have to provide admin details. The one that when you go live on Daraja, you'll be asked for the username and password. These are the details that you'll be providing on that form, right? Then you'll have provided also just a written letter with your company's letterhead, telling them that these are the admin details. These are samples here. So if you come here and download the sample letters, you'll just find them there. And the other thing that is required also is a bank letter or a cancelled check. So this is not complicated to get. Just walk into your bank account. Just walk into your bank account, bank branch, tell them that you require a letter to do this and that. They'll probably write you that letter because this is the country that we have. Ujibebe hapo na shilingi 500 ama 1000. Otherwise, wataanza kujifanya hata wajui chenye unazungumzia. Then you need a KRA pin, not necessarily the business one. You can just use your personal one and work fine. And then you need also the copies of the ID and the passport and also the other documents for business. The other business documents that you have. Ideally, even a business name registration certificate can work, but you'll have to indicate that you're a sole proprietor and you work alone, so that they don't ask you a lot of CR12 and what. If you present yourself as a company, then they'll ask you for all those company details. But if you present yourself as you just need the pay bill, then it's better off that way because you can use a lot of personal details and they'll still work. And the better thing is just find somebody. Just find somebody. So hata kama ni the agent that you'll get there, try as much as you can upate namba yake, because you have to know how to live as Kenyans. That's how we were groomed to be. Unless you want to be, you want to take a whole month applying for a pay bill. You get the right person, even 24 hours ni nyingi sana. Yeah, so all the letters here, make sure you stamp them. Everything that is here, all documents, just stamp them with an updated stamp. Then the bank letter should also be stamped by the bank. They'll do that for you. Then there's a note here. Individual tills, the tills that settle to phone numbers and have been registered by ID, and bank pay bills cannot be used for M-Pesa integrations. So if you have the 522, 522, you have the 220, 220, all those bank pay bills, you'll spend a lot of time making a research that won't work. So you can't integrate those with M-Pesa because you need the keys, and for you to get the keys, you need the admin account, and those banks cannot give you the admin details. If you need to integrate them, you can use a service like this here, but I created this like 2 years ago. You can use it. Actually, it works. You can use it, but I wouldn't advise you to use it for your business. You can use it for your side projects. You can use it for your, if you have presentations to do. This one is like just a port to help you use my credentials. But in return, I'll give you an API key that is mine. So you give me the API key, I'll make the request on your behalf. then the money will go to your paybill or your bank account or your whatever. But if you need an official one, just go to, there are guys who are called Tiny Pesa. I think it's basically the same idea of Libya Online, but I'm going to think of whether I can commercialize this and see whether I'm indie hacker, as I said. So mkiitaka sana, kazi yangu kubwa ni kuwekea tu charge up, kuwekea tu subscription fee, usinijazie server bure. Okay, so how to apply for them? So after gathering all your required documents, you've gathered all of them, make sure you scan them as one document. The reason why I'm saying this is because ukizituma moja moja hivyo, mwenye ana receive, sometimes, okay, they're using a ticketing system where the agent receives the ticket with this application. So akipata document moja haiko sawa, he will return back the whole thing. Asa agent huyo amekwambia kuwa this document is required. If you've experienced this, utapata mtu ku apply for a paybill ama the Daraja live thing, atachukua a lot of time. This is because you're doing it either the wrong way or you just don't understand exactly how their ticketing system works. So if all these requirements are met, then you're supposed to get your paybill number within 72 hours maximum. And if you don't receive any communication within the first 24 hours, you've not been told that you need to add this document, hakuna kitu me receive, then recheck your documents and reapply. And in case you applied and you've received a communication that you need to add a certain document, maybe you're told that you need to stamp the bank letter. Usiende ustamp, alafu reply kwa hiyo email na hiyo bank letter peke yake. That request will reach another agent. So you applied with 10 documents, then wamekwambia moja iko na shida, then you reply with one document. The next agent will just get one document. Atakwambia the other 9 are missing. You apply with the 9, you leave the one, they tell you the other one is missing. So if you get any that you need to add something, resend all the documents because another agent might get the request. Now, sometimes they don't have they don't track back and angalia to that one email, alafu ana decide on it peke yake. Now, when you are wapendangi stress, so anaona ni rahisi tu reject. Yeah, so after you applied, what you expect is an SMS telling you that, dear so and so, your paybill account has been activated for the business name and your paybill number is this. This is what you'll get most of the time. You also expect an email for the admin account creation that your M-Pesa user, this has been created, the business name is this, and your username is this, and your password is this. Many a times you won't get this because the agents that are working on these things normally assume that you require the paybill for your normal business, ya kawaida tu peke yake. So waelewi kama you want it to be integrated. So they assume the admin account creation thing. So if you receive the paybill with just the SMS peke yake and there is no email that follows up that, please just rewrite an email to them that you need the admin account created, and they'll now create that for you. So I think the process of applying for a paybill is basically very, very simple, but the only challenge is the ones who are handling the creations of all these things, right? Yeah. So that's basically the application process. Unless there's any question, we can move on to the integration itself. So Mukuru, you're asking whether I can share the slides after the session. Yeah, I'll add them as a resource on the LMS. Arrived late, can we get the recordings? Yeah, the recordings will be there. Again, on the LMS. Kama unazingoja YouTube, ngoja sana. Okay, so the next thing is the APIs that are available. And for this, let's just go to Daraja and see exactly what APIs are there. So these are the list of APIs that are provided by Safaricom. If you need me to zoom in, you can just say, zoom to kidogo. So Number one, we have the authorization API. This is common. We're going to talk about this, but it's very important. The dynamic QR code, where you can generate a QR code and somebody scans and automatically makes a payment. The M-Pesa Express, the customer to business, all these are provided. They also have a tax remittance and stuff. But the ones that we're going to discuss about here that are concerning us for online payments is the authorization API, the M-Pesa Express, and the customer to business and the business to customer. These four. The other ones are very straightforward. If you understand these other ones, you can also integrate the account balance, reversals, the transaction status, and stuff. So in general, we'll be discussing about 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 APIs provided, but basically there are 5. So there's this one for authorization. There is this M-Pesa Express. You can see here we have 2 action buttons, the stimulate and the query. So these are 2 different endpoints that we're going to use them together to achieve the desired thing that I've seen many people having a problem with. John is saying it will be much better if you post here WhatsApp group link. WhatsApp wachana now for now kwanza. There is no WhatsApp group actually, unless you suggest a creation for that. Okay, so those are the APIs that are provided. So simulate and query, then the customer to business. So there's a big difference between M-Pesa Express and customer to business. So C2B basically is a way in which a customer can pay you, which is mostly confused with the STK pushes. So for the STK push, it's called M-Pesa Express, Lipa na M-Pesa API. So this one is kind of done online, where there's a very big difference, and we're going to look at the two differences. I see many use this in place for this, where it has a simulation that will work, but many at times, if you need to use it for online payments, this is better because it provides a lot of parameters that you can give. Then we have the authorization that I've talked about, and we'll discuss more about it. Now, STK code walkthrough. 849. So what we'll do, we'll just create a very simple application that utilizes the M-Pesa API. You can see now all these APIs in action. Use Windows. So sianze vita. And we'll be using JavaScript for this because to make it quick actually, so that we finish up this thing very early, because I'll be using Express.js. We can hook up and pin up a very simple server that will expose some endpoints that we can use. For that, let's just create a directory here, and I'm going to create it at the desktop. So let's call it code with trees, M-Pesa demo. Okay, so I said we'll be using JavaScript, so let's just initialize this. The processes are just the same. The main important thing is the architecture. So you use, I'll try as much as I can to explain the different ways in which, or the system design for this. So what exactly you need, regardless of whatever language that you're using. So that is already initialized. So let's just create the index file. That's fine. So let's install install Express. Need the .env, and we need Axios. I think those are the only things that we need for now. Yeah.
You can zoom your terminals a bit so that you can see it.
Okay. Just it to try to zoom it in a jam app. Let me just open this on VS Code, then I'll zoom the VS Code window because this one may jump zoom. So let's just open this on VS Code.
A quick one, Reese.
Yeah.
Are we going to use a sandbox to simulate this nini from Daraja? Ama tunatumia live nini?
Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to code the whole thing. Then tutatumia the sandbox credentials. Then we're going to go live hapa too. So we're going to see the process of migrating from sandbox to live.
Okay, so
we'll be designing our code in a way that the migration becomes very simple. So let's just create a very simple express server. Sai tu ndio tuendelee. I'm using JavaScript. There is no need of setting up TypeScript right now. So if in case you spot a bug before you spot it, tuambiane haraka haraka. Because demos sometimes can be problems. So I think that is already done. Listen to a port, and after that, let's just server. Okay, let's just define a port here. And we'll use it at the process that can be that. Port, if it's not there, then we'll just use port 88. So the app is running at port the port. And also here, let's start on this port. So I think we already have an express server. Let's just put some simple middlewares here so that we express.json. We also use so for those guys who are using Python, this is just similar thing to sawa. Is visible enough?
Exactly. Yeah, it's okay now.
Hapo iko sawa? Ama niongeze? Hapo iko sawa.
Iko sawa hiyo.
So for the Python guys, this looks similar to what do you call it? Flask, something, yeah, Flask thing. To just spin up a very simple server. I think we're done with that. Just want to get some little scripts to complete this. So the start script, that is. Let's test out this. So as that starts, let's just create an environment file here. Then we define our port, that is port 8080. Have this, and also let's try and watch these things. So let's just create one out here to test this thing. Yeah, so I think our server is already set up. So now let's look at the things that you require for, or the basic or architecture for the basic architecture of the M-Pesa integration. What exact endpoints do you need, and what exact APIs are you going to consume? So the very first thing is the authorization API that we saw there. And this is important because this is an API that basically, I think I can explain it this way. Let's just open up Daraja. We draw some bit of diagrams and see exactly what I am trying to mean with the authorization API. These are the problems. Okay. So we have your application here, and we have Daraja API, this other side. So what happens is, whenever you need to make any of their requests, you need to request first for an authorization. So you'll send a request from here to here to get a token. Then this will send back a token to you. After getting this token, you can now send the request again. This is the basic architecture of this thing. So it's like, this is any other API. Any other API will require a token from this first authorization API. So this API here, where is it? This authorization API is very important because you'll be calling it each before any other API that you want to call, so that you get the authorization token that you can pass to the rest of the API. So let's say you want to simulate an SDK push, you'll have first to send the request to get the token back, then send it now to send it as one of the header parameters on the other request that you want to make. So basically, that's why there are many ways that you can design that. So for those who are comfortable with using middlewares, you can do that, because a middleware is just a function that runs before the main handler itself. If you're comfortable with using high order functions, you can decide to create a high order function that does that request, then calls the other, takes in the other request as a callback, as a callback request. So for those who understand the high order functions in whatever language that you use. So basically, just find a way in which you'll be able to call authorization API before any other API. So in simple terms is, we can do this. Before the authorization, let's write an endpoint to make an SDK push. Then another endpoint to do the SDK query. Then probably some other endpoints like the B2C and any other. Then we look at how the authorization applies to all these other ones, right? So basically, I'll create a middleware file here, or a function, just any function in whatever way that you'll create it, but make sure that it's a function that you'll call it before the other function, so that you get the response from it. Then the response that comes will be used for the other request that you'll make. So for this, let's basically just write a middleware in whatever server-side language that you'll use. You'll just create a middleware file or a middleware function, right? So in Express, just as simple as getting it this way. So app.use, then inside here, let's just call a function. And because it's a middleware, it will take a request, take a response, and it will take a next function. This is not an Express class, but now this is simply to tell it that this is not the main function itself. Itakuwa inafanya kitu hapa, then ikimalizika, ita call the other function that will come next. This is the authorization API. Then if I now create the main handler for STK push, let's say it's a post request. So this is slash, maybe it's the slash STK. Then it checks in the request and response and does something here. So before we write this code, tutakuwa tunataka the token. So by the point we reach here, we have to make sure that we have the token here. So make sure the token is here. The people who are trying to follow along, itaku-mess kidogo. Don't try to follow along, just listen up. Then you'll follow along the video later. So assuming this is the STK push response, it must be called after this, it here. So basically, this is how the Express app will run. It turns up a juu, ikuja, ita call these two middlewares, unaona hapa. Then itakuja, ita call this middleware. So by the time tunafika hapa, this one will already be called and the token will be available. Let me show you this in action. So let's write the code to generate a token first. Then after that, we'll now write the code for STK push here to how we can get the token from this other side. So I think for that, let's use the documentation that we have hapa. So project setup, server setup. Yes, I think ni hapa. So I'll just copy this code, then I'll explain it. So that let's just wrap this in a try catch. Tuweke tu hapa ndani. Okay, these were the TypeScript code. So just try hapa. Wait, this. So let's just make this asynchronous. Yeah, I think up to there we are fine. So let's also create these other files. So kitu tutafanya cha tu split hii kitu hivi. And tupunguze hii terminal hapa. Tupunguze hii side huku. Actually tuiondoe tu kabisa. Ama to put the env huku side, then let's just remove it here. I think that's pretty much visible. So let's now get these keys. Tuone penye tutazipata, all of them. So we need the M-Pesa consumer key. We also need the M-Pesa consumer secret. For now, we need those two to generate the token. The M-Pesa base URL. So for that, so that we have a simple migration process, let's just put it here so that we have the M-Pesa environment. Yeah, so for now, we'll be using Sandbox, then we'll shift to production, the live version. So we need this, then yeah, so for now we only need those ones, then we're going to modify this request also. So up to there we find. Now to get those credentials, number one, for Sandbox credentials, it's as easy as just creating a new app up and down. So ukikuja hapo kwa my apps, utaona kuna what is wrong with this thing? So ukikuja hapa kwa my apps, you'll see all these apps that are listed here are sandbox apps. Unaona hapa juu, there's a drop down here. So I have only one live app. So nikiswitch kwa hii utapata it's now the live credentials. After going live, itaje create yenyewe. But for sandbox, you create it by yourself. So if you need to create a new sandbox app, and this is very important because when you create a sandbox app like right now, after sometimes those credentials kind of expire. So you'll be forcing yourself to fix errors that you don't know where they're coming from. If you're using sandbox and you get some very weird errors, the only simple thing to do is just get a new app, copy the new credentials. Let's do that. Let's create a new app, call it more. We need to use this. Probably this is ingine tahitaji kweli. In desktop no. So create the app. App created successfully. And here it is. So we need to copy these credentials. So let's just open this app. We copy the consumer key, paste it here. We need also the consumer secret, copy it here and paste it here. I think those are the only two that we need at the moment. Yeah. So let's now try to make this SDK push request and see whether we can get the token here after this middleware has been called. So instead of saving this, let me just save the token, attach it on the request so that it can be received huko mbele. Then I call now the next function. Yeah, so hapa sasa, let's see. Let's just call this M-Pesa token. So let's see if we can access the token here. So console.log. Let's just the JSON so that we can make an API call. Request.mpesa token. So notice that we'll hit this endpoint and see whether we can get this other one here. If the server is okay. Yeah. So for that, let's use Thunder client.
I think you haven't wrapped the the authorization with the SDK with the authorization function.
What do you mean? I haven't.
Is the authorization a middleware?
Yeah, it's a middleware. This is what okay. I'm now getting it right. Maybe I know what you want me to do. Let me do that first but before that, let me show you what I'm doing. You know, if you use app.use, and this will be called directly with or without attaching it to this. What you mean is this. Let me just show you.
Sure.
When I remove this and give this now, let's say const token middleware, and now remove the whole of this thing here. So now saizi now it's the new middleware that you want me to do, then I'll now put it here. So even though that's what you mean, right?
Yep, nimeget venye nimefanya. Sure.
Yeah, let's do it this way. But whatever the case, both could work. So let's just do it here. Actually, this is better to explain because what happens is this function will be called, and if no error happens, then it will call the next function that will now call the other function that comes here. So let's just create a new request. So this is a local host 8 SDK and the post request actually. And let's just take this to this other side. We'll be using it a lot. And let's close this. Yeah. So let's try now. This is not defined. The problems of using JavaScript SaaS. We expect like 5 errors before it runs. Okay. Hey, MPESA base URL is not defined. Okay.
.nv, configure.nv.
Na .env actually. Niliwaambia muniambie hizi vitu mapema. I'm using JavaScript. .env, let's configure it here. If you see any other one, niambie mapema. First, this that was not defined is equal to process.env. Ilikuwa MPESA environment. If this is live, no. If this is live, then the credentials with this, otherwise, this, then just copy these two endpoints here. Yeah, actually ziko hapa hivi. So this allows us for a very easy process for migration. Yeah, so if it's live, it's api.safaricom. If it's not live, it's sandbox, then it will hit this other endpoint. So the base URL after here should be okay. What else are we missing? I hope that's fine now. So let's try to make the request again. Yeah, so we now have the token. So now e-token tumeipata wapi? We didn't call this middleware directly, but we called this other one. So hata tukaandika another function here like app.post, and this is now STK query. And before this main one, request and response, we just, if we apply this middleware here, automatically by the time we reach the main request, the token will already be available on our request body or on our request itself. So that's why I said this is very important, because you actually find a way in which that you can make sure that you call this request each and every time. For those who will argue that you'll be wasting some resources because why not save the token? Because actually saving the token for later use, because it expires in, I don't know, a minute or two. I'm not sure exactly how long it takes, but in case you try to save them on a database somewhere, making a database call will be more expensive than even calling it again. The only better option is probably maybe saving it on a local cache like Redis, where you'll have to write the logic of checking whether it has expired. If it has expired, make the request again. Those are just over-engineering things. So just call it each and every time you need it. So I think we're done with the first request. So e-authorization, we've written it as a middleware so that we can use it each and every time that we need it. So the next thing is now writing this STK push endpoint. So again, so for this, let's just get two things from the body. We need a phone number and the amount. Just take them from the request.body. So whatever language you use, you just handle the body that, however you handle it, just validation here, we won't do anything. So you can validate the body itself, make sure you have everything that you have, because this is a demo. We'll assume that you're going to be disciplined not to provide any malicious stuff. Then, yeah, and initiate an STK push. So at this point, let's just also get a try catch block here so that we can copy paste some code. So that let's put it here. Then we now proceed. Again, we'll copy this code somewhere, but before that, kuna kitu kabla sijasahau tuichukue tena. Let's pick this because we'll need this base URL. It applies everywhere. You can decide to save it somewhere so that you don't recopy it. But sometimes copying saves a lot of time than abstracting this. That when we save mahali, then you can, okay, depending on how large the application that you're building. So because we already have that, to tume hiyo push sasa. So ingine ilifika hapa. Tuanze na hii. First you need to generate the timestamp, then get the let's copy the whole of this thing, then I'm going to explain it. With this and paste it here. Sawa. Remove these TypeScript things. So the first thing, you need to generate a timestamp. I do it manually like this because I normally copy this snippet. Ukiniambia nianze kuandika hii kitu tena hata sijui I don't know what it does. But you can use a library if you want to generate a TypeScript, a timestamp. Whatever language that you use, you'll use whatever available tool that you can use to generate a timestamp of a certain format. Then we need to generate a special password. That is a base 64 encoding of the M-Pesa shortcode, which we need to write right now. So we need the M-Pesa shortcode here. We're going to see where we're going to get that for the sandbox. Then we need the M-Pesa passkey. Also, going to look at how we can get these two. So let's fetch for these two first, then we proceed. So we have to get M-Pesa shortcode. We're using sandbox for now. We're going to look at how we can migrate to get the other details. But for now, let's just go to this app. Naona hapa shortcode ni NA. Wacha tuende pa nitapata ukikuja hapa APIs, ukikuja hapa simulate, utapata this instance yenye iko hapa. And this thing has a very bad UI actually. If this screen is kind of the normal size, inapoteanga wapi. But kuna mahali, if you're using a smaller screen, you won't find this unless you kind of use a version or anything. So kuja hapa, you'll just select the app, ndio hii hapa. Then we can get the passkey from here. Let's just copy it quickly. Put it here. And let's get the business shortcode also. It's for sandbox inakuanga hii 174.379 a change. Kuna wale watu wanauliza, there's a TikTok video that was posted by Ambwayo Mike, I think, about developers payday. Ile siku yenye pesa yake yote ya test iliregeshwa. So when you use sandbox, you normally send money and it goes away. But depending on the moods of the system, one time itaamua tu kuregesha hizo pesa zako zote zinifanya. Actually it's supposed to take 24 hours, but sometimes inaenda inapotea, hairudi. But siku moja unapata zinarudi tu zote, unapata tu you have received one bob. Ni zile zenye ulikuwa una test nazo. So ukituma 1000 by mistake, usiogope, wataregesha tu. So we have all the things that we need from this. Wait, ina shida gani hapa? Let's just make this synchronous. So what else? The password is okay. M-Pesa shortcode is okay. Timestamp is okay. Now, let's discuss about what we are doing here. And this is very important. Very, very important, actually. So, I've talked about generation of the timestamp, the generation of a password, which is a base 64 encoding of the M-Pesa shortcode, the M-Pesa passkey, and the timestamp. For the passkey, I've shown you where to get it on Sandbox, but for production, once you go live, this thing will be sent to your email address. You don't expect to get it anywhere in the Daraja portal. So when you're applying for the Daraja portal, the admin details as an email. So the email that you provided as the admin will receive this M-Pesa passkey. And the M-Pesa shortcode ni paybill yako sasa. Now, there's a difference here. When you're using a till number, the M-Pesa shortcode becomes the store number. Okay, apply for a till, utapewa vitu mbili. You'll be given the till number itself that people use to pay, and you'll be given a store number. A store number is what is used as a shortcode here. The till number is also going to be used. I'm going to show you where you use it, but the shortcode itself, the one that is used in place of the paybill shortcode, is the store number itself. Zimefika 9, sijui hata ni 10 size. Yeah. So the store number is there, then the till number, you'll use it as one of the parameters here. Then the next thing is making the call. We are calling the process request, whatever, and we're using the base URL. The base URL I've also shown you here. It's dynamically rendered depending on whether you're live or in Sandbox. So if you're in Sandbox, it will use the Sandbox credentials. Then the business shortcode nimesema hapa. So this is store number for tills. I'll push this code to GitHub, so that's why I'm leaving comments. So if it's a till number, you'll use the store number here. Then the password niyo generate, the timestamp ni here. Then these, the transaction type are true. If it's a till number, you'll switch them to buy goods online. If it's a paybill number, it's customer paybill online. And it's using the, what do you call it? Camel case ama nini. Make sure that all the first letters of the first letters of each word are capital, whether it's Pascal or camel case, whatever. Aya, tukuje hapa, the amount is the amount yenye tumeprovide huku. Then the formatted phone, where did I put this? Okay, yeah. So there's this habit of forcing users to a certain specific, unaambiwa sasa start with 254, start with plus 254. Why should you do that? Yet you are a programmer to solve such kind of problems. You are sure, you are 100% sure that Kenyan phone numbers start with plus 2547, plus 2541, 0701, 2547, 2541. So you can just let them provide whatever they can provide. Then on your validation here, validate that it's a valid Kenyan phone number that starts with those numbers. Then ikisha validate sasa, come and create now the phone number that is required. So const phone number, it's basically what you're sure of is that all the last 9 digits are needed. So tutaweka tu hiyo 254 yenye wanataka. Then we'll just take the phone number that this person provided. Yeah, the phone number that this person provided. Then we'll check the last 9 digits. So this one will give us from the last 9 digits. Then we attach this. So tutatoa hizo plus hizo takataka zote ziko huko mbele. We're just going to remove them, and by this time here, whatever the user ameweka, bora it's a Kenyan phone number, tusimsumbue na a structured way of doing it, ama lazima yanze na nini wala nini. So the party A is the phone number. The party B is the shortcode for till numbers, but for paybill numbers, but for the till number is now the till number itself. The shortcode hapa juu, business shortcode, is the store number. Party B for paybills is the store number, but you can put whatever you wish to put there. Play around with this, you'll find a very amazing thing with it. Then for till numbers now, unaweka hiyo till number yenyewe sasa. So number ni huko kwa business shortcode, the party B will be the till number itself. The phone number hapa, me don't understand up to today what this and this mean. Don't know exactly, because ukikuja kwa documentation yao, wameandika hapa, party A is the sender and phone number is the recipient. And to me, it doesn't make sense. Who is the sender here? The paybill is the sender. Should be the sender, not another phone number. Ama huwa inatoka kwa mtu inaenda kwa mtu, so sielewi up to now, I don't understand. But the better way to understand is try to put a different one here and a different one here, then see where the STK push goes. Aya, party B nimeshazungumzia, phone number nimeshazungumzia, the callback URL, we'll talk about this, but simply this is now the main difference between the C2B and the STK push M-Pesa, because the STK push, you can use it as many times as you want in different applications, simply because on any request you provide the webhook itself. Kila request ni unatuma, unaambia Safaricom, send me the callback to this specific URL. But for the other one, you need to register the URLs. You register just one URL, and every transaction that goes to that paybill or PIN number will be sent to that one specific URL that you registered. But for this, I can use this for this application, niende nitumie kwa application nyingine, and everything will work as expected. So the transaction description, just put anything there. The account reference, this is now the account number. So if you need to simulate the account numbers, you just put it here. Metacode solution. You have raised your hand. Yeah, you can just unmute and speak. Wacha tuende haraka haraka, wewe ni kama ume. Sawa. Then the authorization here, the bearer, I think hapa ilikuwa ni supposed to be the request dot M-Pesa code, M-Pesa token. Unaona hiyo M-Pesa token yenye ina generate huko juu ndio tunaikuja tunaipata tena hapa. This was a server action, so hapa tufanyaje? To return the response dot of 200 JSON. Now let's paste in that. Let's just give it a message. Shida yako ni gani? Okay. SDK sent successfully to the phone number. So up to there, I think everything is right, should be fine, unless I'm missing out any variable, but I believe everything is as expected. Twende sasa tu try. Fingers crossed. So the body, we need a phone number. 76879. Then we also need amount. Sasa nifungue hii ndio nionyeshe ikikuja. So the amount, let's pass in something like 10 here and see. So let's now send this. Awesome. How is this thing working on the first try? So the SDK push has come, and that's the. I didn't expect it to work on the first try actually. So that's a bug. So basically, sending an SDK push is as simple as that. A very
when you approach, it will always work with the first.
Brian nasema nini? What are you saying, Brian Murithi?
Ukishaivia lazima ina run at first attempt.
Okay, by the way.
And that is Sandbox actually. We have created a Sandbox app right now with you guys.
Yeah, because I'm worried. Unajua mimi nimekuwa nikitumia Sandbox na nimekuwa nikimiss hii response kabisa. But ni realize makosa inatokeanga wapi up there.
Yeah, it should work in your brain actually. So before you run, the person who I was looking up to when I was starting out to code is he told me one thing. Before you even hit that send button, ask yourself one question. Will it run? That's why in unis you find that you write code on paper. That's the main concept. Your head should be the compiler itself. Make sure it runs. So making sure it runs is just checking it up to top, bottom to top. Naangalia hapa iko sawa, hapa iko sawa, hapa iko sawa. So if you don't have made any mistake, then it should run. Actually, it should run. Sawa. So that's how we have sent an SDK push. As simple as it is. And your online payments have been integrated. The next thing that we're going to look at is now this SDK push query. I'm not going to code out this. It's very simple, by the way. All of them follow the same concepts. In fact, the toughest one is the SDK push peke yake. After ukishaelewa hii, hizo zingine zote, they are very, very straightforward. So from this now, we're going to discuss on how you can implement the SDK push query and why is it even important, because this is one of the important ones. Mtu anakuja anakuambia, reason nimeona website yako inafanya hivi na hivi, how can I do that? Unapata they achieve doing it, but probably in the wrong way, because they assume that they expect a response. This is what exactly that happens. Let me just go back to ile draw SQL ionyeshe kitu. When you send an SDK push, this was the SDK push request. Ukituma SDK push request, provided your authorization is okay, your parameters are okay, the user is okay, hata ijali na user mwenye umemtumia, itakutumia a response. And responses from REST APIs are either success or failures, right? So it will be a failure if one of the things here is not okay. So if you get a failure, go and check on the parameters that you're sending, your body yote, ama you also test out the generation of the token. If it's working, fine. And this is the process of STK push inaishia hapa. So the success only means that Safaricom has received a valid request. So what they're going to do is now send the request to the user's phone number, the user's device, so that it will your STK push. So basically, don't expect a success or a failure, like an immediate response, whether they have paid or not paid. No, the success is your request was okay, and we are now sending it to the user. Whatever the user does with that STK push is not shown here. So hii inakuambia tu kwamba the STK push has been sent, but it gives you details of how you can now later track it. So there's this checkout request ID that is used now on the STK push query. Let's do a very simple experiment. I show you how we can do that. So basically, ideally, the design for it is ukishatuma STK push. Now this becomes two-way, front end and back end, to achieve the query thing. So the backend will just write one request that will take in the checkout request ID as the, by the way, situfanya kitu, because it's not that complicated data, sio kubwa hivyo. Let's just copy this try catch, then tuone what will happen. Remember, I've cancelled that request. Wacha tutoe hizi vitu zote tuhitaji hapa. Bakisha tuna hiyo huko juu. Remove all this. Remove all this. Iko hapo kuanzia hapa hivi hadi hapa. Then remove this also. So let's implement the STK push query. Tutavute hiyo huku tupaki na hii. Sawa. So ikuja hapa, find the code to do that. Yeah, STK push query iko hapa hivi. So inaanzia wapi? Inaanzia wapi? Hapa hivi. It's very simple, short kabisa. Copy this and paste it here. Synchronous. This also requires the token. So the request ID, let's just get it from request ID. The request ID ndio hiyo taipasa hapo, timestamp na password, these are also required. Zitoe huko. Kama tena tuzikopi huko ndio itakuwa easier. With the emergency of AI, hata usiwejisumbua kukram hizi vitu. Every time you can, be best. Hatuko kwenye mashindano ya who can cram code better. It's providing solutions. Okay, so I think up to that point we are okay with everything. So naona sasa inahitaji tu shortcode na the request ID peke yake, nothing else. Then hapa to change pay ilikuwa ile request yetu, request by the M-Pesa token. Aya, so tukikuja huku sasa, ende kwa Thunder client to create another request. New request. Let's move it this other side and we close that. So let's just copy this. Sometimes bana tuko na shida. Actually writing it was simpler than copying, but lazima tu copy. Then here it only requires the request ID. Now remember I made this request kitambo. Oh. Request ID. It should be. Sasa unaona hii request ya kwanza ilikuwa na checkout request ID. So if I pass this to the second request, it will tell me exactly what happened to the STK push. Nini ilifanyika huko. So I cancel it So nikituma hii sasa, if everything goes right, okay. Yep. Ni nini? Oh. It's as simple as looking at your code juu mpaka chini na debug tu polepole. Phone number is not defined. Naitumia wapi? Chatoe message up. Problem of copy pasting code from AI. Paste hadi hivi tu 5 kupaste. Yeah, so the request is successful. Unaona kwamba the service was okay, but the results code is 1032, and whatever happens is the request was cancelled by the user. So if right now I make another SDK push request and I enter a wrong pin, I to make another SDK push request, I receive it. Mwanamsee alinipigia siku moja ananiambia SDK push yangu mara ina work mara hai work. Nimwambia wewe ndio uko na shida. If it worked for the first time na ulicode vizuri, so shida iko wapi tena? Mbona isi work tena kesho? Yeah, so that was successful. So let's just pick this and see. Nika nililipa. Tuone. 10 bob imeenda wapi sasa? 10 bob na uchumi. It's like I paid. Yeah, so unaona sasa the service request was processed successfully. Let's make another one ni cancel that request. Actually, I enter wrong pin. That's what I wanted to do. You know what prompted.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, you can just ask.
Regardless of the payment that you are doing, so where will this money reflect to?
Okay, now if you're doing a sandbox, the money goes to a holding account for Safaricom. Now, then they later reverse it back to you. If you're using live credentials, then ideally what will happen is they will send it to the paybill itself. So it ends up penye inafaa kwenda. So I cancel that, yeah. So if I cancel that, inaniambia the initiator information is invalid. So it's as simple as now on your front end, write out a logic that will be, because the user will not pay immediately. So the best way to do it is put a button, tell the user that if you have paid, click this button, then you hit this endpoint. That's easier. But again, if you want that loading thing and everything, you can have two options. Either to write WebSockets, which for this case is not that necessary unless you are somebody who is very paranoid and just somebody who thinks of a lot of optimizations that are not required at that time. For me, I use short polling, where it's just right at set interval timer that sends the request to this backend at a certain interval. Let's say 2 seconds, right? After every 2 seconds, it will send this request until it gets something. Because if I don't pay, let me show you what happens if I've not paid the SDK push. Iko tu hapo kwa phone yangu, sijailipa, what will happen? I just send this. So by this time, SDK push imefika kwa phone yangu. Wacha ikae vile inakaa, and I show you the response that you're going to get here. And this is what you'll use to send another request, because meaning that it's still on the user's phone and nothing has happened. You get an error. So that's why when you come to my website like this, these are errors that are called bugs. These are bugs that are called features. I told somebody this is a feature, not a bug. Akasema it's a bug. Chat kuja hapa, there's a live demo mahali. Then I show you something. Let's inspect this. But if you feel like you're touched, ukikuja kwa hii live demo hapa unaweza nitumia pesa. This is live. For number, let's say 07687923, then the amount here, let's say 1 bob, 10 zinaenda sana. So if I send this SDK push, STK push ikifika kwa simu yangu, unaona sasa it's telling me that the payment is being processed. I want you to notice what's happening on the network tab. It's making a request each and every time after a certain period. That's what I call short polling. So right now, if I cancel this request hapa, itasema the request cancelled by the user and the polling will stop on this other side. So that's one way to do it. You need to implement a logic that unaona imesema the payment has, and ikilipa sasa, when I send this again and I now complete a payment, enter wrong pin, nimesahau pin yangu. Ama mmenihack tayari. Hapa ndani najua kuna watu. Wait a minute. They've entered the wrong pin. Oh, I see what's happening. Kama uko hapa na umenihack ndugu yangu, nitakutafuta. I'm not a hacker, but I know people, I know friends, I have friends. I do have friends. Yeah, so umeona nimelipa, imekuwa successful, inaniambia nini? Your payment was processed successfully. Thank you for your donation, and you can get the full implementation for this, whatever you've seen there on this GitHub link. So you've seen how the UX that you can put so that at least your users see what exactly is going on. If you think all these requests are expensive, for me, I don't think they are, because there is no database that I'm hitting. The only expensive transaction that I normally fear is databases. But there's nothing like that I'm doing. It's just simply reaching my server, and if I put a very good rate limiting mechanism, then these requests hazitafika hata 5 per user. And depending on where you host, 5 requests should not be a worry actually. Nyaga is asking whether I use Next.js. Next.js is giving us superpowers. I can create a SaaS product in like 5 days and I'm done. And nianze kutengeneza do. Like this is Next.js. I made it in like 21 days. If I was to write a backend, then come write a front end, then ingekuwa story nyingine tena. But basically, yeah, whatever you can use, just use. So umeona the implementation of the STK push query sasa. So that's basically how you do the short polling. Could the polling run forever? No, it doesn't run forever. It doesn't run forever. This is what happens is you set a timer, and every time the poll is done, it increases the timer. So if it's 2 seconds, inamaanisha, you'll put that the first case is when it reaches 10 times. So increase the type, it increases the, what do you call it? It increases the count in your makeup or your set interval. So ikifika like 10 times, then you tell the user that you took too long to pay. Let me just show you actually. Itafanyika, it doesn't run forever. But ukienda hapo utajaribu tu. It doesn't run forever. It makes the poll like 10 times. Ikipata there's nothing that it's getting, it just tells you that you took too long to pay, try again later. Kama hiyo. It's just how you get creative with it. Don't let it to run forever. Hapo ndio shida itatokea sasa. So what I was saying, the feature that turned to a bug is ungeenda kwa console ungepata some errors because of that error 500. So mtu anakuambia website yako kuna error. What I respond to them is that is not an error. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Wacha tu ibaki vile inakaa hivyo. Sawa. So the next thing that we're going to look at is security. Tuende kwa security chap, then tuende kwa callback. Handling the callback. Tuende. Time imeenda. You guys still have time? Vitu mingi zimebaki hapa na time imeenda bana.
Yes, we have time.
Okay, if you have time, that's well and good. Me, I have time. Usiku ndio imeanza. The night has just started. So let's talk about now the callback, handling the callback data. So hapa hivi tukiweka API SDK. Oh, close this. So whatever you pass as the callback URL is where the response will be called. Basically, this is an event-driven architecture kind of. They're called webhooks. Webhooks is simply registering an endpoint and telling the whatever you're telling that whatever the request, whatever thing that happens. So you are telling Safaricom that whatever event that happens to this, just send it to this endpoint. So you have to create the endpoint yourself. Unlike any other APIs where you need to register the URL afresh, you need to register it somewhere. Let's say maybe you're using something like the WhatsApp API, for instance. You'll have to register. If you're using USSD for Africa stocking, you have to register it somewhere. But for this, it gives you the flexibility because you don't register it pre the request. You pass it every time you send this request. So it should be any post request, any post endpoint that will map to this. So it's not just your domain name, no. It's the route or it's the route that you created yourself, the post request. A good example is if I create a post request like this, app.post, and I call this like callback. Talk about this in the security sasa. Hapo kwa security ndio mambo iko hapo. Hapo ndio shida iko sasa. Fanya vile anafanya, shauri yako. Mimi sifanyangi hivyo. This is just a demo. So inside here, let's just log out request.body. So whatever is written, chenye inaandikwa hapa ndani, it's your own logic. Safaricom does not dictate yenye unaandika hapa. It doesn't even validate any. So unaona tumepass URL yenye hata tujui inatoka wapi, but everything went well. But Safaricom actually tried to send this. So kama kuna mtu akona hii route mahali ana receive this request. But I believe sidani. So basically when it receives, ikireceive tu hiyo kitu inatuma tu. Ikireceive inatuma. When you use my WhatsApp API, it has the same feature, but the thing is you and I una pre-register, just set your URL. So anytime you receive a WhatsApp message, it will send it to that URL. So you can create kind of a chatbot or anything to it. So that's basically the event-driven architecture that Safaricom uses with the webhooks. When you're using the C2B API, you'll register this initially. Utaregister kwanza, alafu itakuwa inatumwa. STK push, you pass it each and every time. Because we won't have time to discuss about the common mistakes, let's just discuss as we go. One of the common mistakes that happens is, initially you designed your system to accept STK pushes. Then later on, you get a requirement that you need to integrate the register URLs where you need the offline payments. Then you forget that you handle this STK push. Remember, an STK push is just a simulation of what the user could have done by themselves. So whether they use your system or they use their own phone, they have made a payment to you. So kama umeregister URL kule na umeregister huku, those are two things that will be sent. And if you handle them wrongly, then you'll get duplicate requests or duplicate callbacks. So make sure if you're doing for both offline and online payments, make sure you handle them well, so that either you choose to use one to ignore the other, or you decide to handle them both but check whether the thing is existing. Collins is saying, recently I've been receiving random STK pushes. I've also received them, like true. Those are just some guys who are guessing some numbers. Kuna ingine nili receive, alafu the Daraja alikuwa anatumia sandbox, na hiyo sandbox ameandika huko ilikuwa imeandikwa subscribe to this YouTube channel ama tukuhack. That was the name of the, so ilikuwa imeandikwa, do you want to pay 10 bob to subscribe to this YouTube channel ama tukuhack? So I don't know what exactly they're doing with those, but provided I don't enter the pin, nothing can happen. Just cancel it. But before you cancel, just screenshot it kwanza. It might be useful sometime. So that's the callback. So we'll just register our callback here. So wacha tumie jina wameandika up so that yeah. So but before this, let's now migrate to production for the live version, because Apparently, the sandboxes might bring us problems when we are receiving the callback. But let's give it a try kwanza na sandbox tuone kama tuta receive any callback. For that, sasa tutatumia, you'll just use a tunneling kitu kama Enroll hivi, so that we tunnel the port tupate we get a secured endpoint. HTTP, it was 88. So hii itatupea port, it tunnel us to this. So kama wataka kuni hack hapa sasa. My port 88 is there. The only hacking that I fear is normally social engineering. Other than that, tateseka sana. Actually, the only hacking that works is social engineering. Unless mtu akudanganye. Unless mtu atafute njia tu ya kukumanipulate. They can get into you. Other than that, siwezi niambia ati pesa imetoka kwa M-Pesa yangu na sijui. Najua. I know what I did. I know exactly what I did. Just that I won't tell you. So let's try that. Let's just stop this server and run it again so that
hapo kwa hiyo callback function usisahau kuongeza nini URL nini hiyo the slash.
Thank you. So let's try and see whether this thing is going to be received. So let's send an STK push. Request failed. That's awkward. Cancel this. Hiyo watu wamuniambia sasa alikuwa anafanya nini na hii request.body hapa? What was it actually doing? Kwa imekaa tu hapo. JavaScript.
Tell us.
Actually, if you can, don't use JavaScript. Don't. You get in a meeting, you run a code inakwambia access is not defined. Watu wanakuangalia like but before that, let's just even confirm. Hii callback hata ikuwa hit. So no, it wasn't even hit. So let's just jump to production so that tusipate hizo mashida. But basically, if you are on a production app, these callbacks won't give you problems. But sometimes even the tunneling like Enroll has a problem on its own. So tufanye hivi sasa, let's just switch all these credentials to live credentials. So what I'll do is just stop sharing, switch this, and I'll try as much as I can. Nisiguse.env juu nikifungua tu hivi. Leo kuna mtu ata screenshot immediately. Sasa tu ni stop sharing kwanza, ni change hizo to my live credentials, then I'll switch it back. But I'm changing nothing here. Actually, let's do this. Acha tufanye hivi kwanza so that this thing iende to GitHub ikiwa hivyo. Let's create a .env.example file. So to copy hii sasa, ibaki vile iko. So this will go to GitHub. Before hata nisahau. So this will find itself GitHub huko. Let's tatoa hizo keys before I push it. So I'll replace all this, the .env files. The keys will still remain, the values will change. So this will go to live. And notice that we won't need to touch the code in any way because we designed our system in that it's very easy to migrate when you get these keys. You just replace the keys here and everything works exactly as it was supposed to work. Kanyagi is asking, I'm the only Java guy here. Unless, don't want to sound rude, but don't own a programming language unless you're the one who designed it. You're not a Java guy, just a programmer. Use Java as a tool. Don't model yourself. Don't label yourself a Java guy. So I'll just stop sharing 1 minute, then switch the credentials, then we go live. We go on production quickly. I hope the screen has stopped. Confirm, please. Please, please, please.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thanks. Customer key, consumer secret, M-Pesa pass key, M-Pesa shortcode, M-Pesa environment. The port remains. Save this, close this file. God help me never to touch it again. Okay, let me just share again. So imeenda hiyo. So now let's see whether without changing any part of the code, this will work or not. Let's just save this so that it picks the new credentials. Let me just open up this so that I show you when the SDK push comes, and send this request. Yeah, work very fast. Hata sandbox ndio inasumbuanga. Unaona sasa? You want to pay 10 bob to Elimu Express for this account number. So, namaanisha sasa, without changing any key, just like that, we've switched from sandbox to production, just like that. Na sasa, unaona the callback imekuwa hit sasa. I cancel the request. Unaona request cancelled by the user. Yeah, common mistakes again. I want you to notice something. Nime receive 2 callbacks. Why is this? Who can tell me why? Actually, let's now make it interactive. Just sasa nimeanza kuchoka. Why do you think nime make 1 payment? Why do you think zimekuja mbili? It's just a mechanism by Safaricom, maybe fault tolerance, so that you avoid this. For you to avoid this, just send back a response to them. Mimi ukiona zangu naambianga tu, whatever happens, just tell them. Just send them something that everything is okay. Hata watumia hata status ya 200, so that tell them I've received, so that don't send the second one. Other than that, you might face a problem. And I faced a problem actually. I've screenshot the problem. Let me show you. Unaona hii shida hii, this can be a huge problem because you might end up with double entries. I was using MongoDB Atlas for my database. And ideally, what happened is, badala ya kutoa, let's say I'm making a database request here. A DB request comes here because obviously you need to save something on the database. I'm making a DB request here before sending the response. So if this takes long, what will happen? I will receive 2 responses. And if I'm not handling them well, then I might save both the 2 on my database. Right? So how I solve this is because, number 1, I have to check whether the transaction exists so that I ignore the second. That's 1, which I can do. But checking takes time. So before even the check is complete, Safaricom washatuma ya pili. This is where now I tell people that learning to code is not learning to code. Writing code is now learning, because you'll find some edge cases zenye. How I solved it, let me just show you. I screenshot this thing. How I solved that is that now I needed something that can check very quickly. And what can I do with what can I do? Because nime save response kweli kwa database, so that ya pili kikuja niangalie kama ina exist, I ignore. But sasa hiyo ya pili, hiyo check ya database yenyewe inachukua some seconds, and ikipita some very few milliseconds, it sends the second one again without receiving any response. So what I needed to do is, here it is. And this is how I handle my callbacks. When it's a failure, I handle it kuanzia hapa. So if I send, you can send an SMS, whatever I can do, but I handle it from here. Then sasa ikifika hapa unaona, so to process duplicate entries, I needed to use Redis. So I just save it. Whenever I receive the request, hivi response ikikuja na iko successful, I take the M-Pesa code na save kwa Redis. So that anytime request ingine ikikuja, Redis will be very fast. It will process that very fast, because sometimes checking from the database inachukua even time. So unapata kuna duplicate entries. So sometimes you just have to find ways to navigate things, and unless you build apps that are used by other people, it's when you'll now start planning other tools that you can use. My first time interacting with RabbitMQ for message brokers was hectic. The idea of using RabbitMQ ilikuja saa 8 usiku. Ilikuja saa 8, and I had to do it because watch it. So the only way to solve this is by sending a response like this. So let's now try and see. Make another request hapa tuone kama tapata moja ama tapata mbili. And SDK push. SDK push sent successfully. Now let me just complete the payment so that you people never told me again. I didn't reduce it from 10 to 1. Another 10 bob. So naona sasa nime receive only one. I've received only one of it. Hazijakuja mbili. But if I remove this line tu peke yake, watatuma mbili. So it's good to return a response so that you avoid these duplicates. And if you're checking from the database, make sure your database code is very fast, not to delay, so that they don't send another one. So you call back metadata ndo itakuwa na kila kitu. So let me just console.log request.body What to your JSON iko hapo .stk callback. We see what we get back and what we can do with it. STK callback meta data. Safaricom ni gani? Mshakula bob yangu alafu callback metadata. That's fine. Yeah, let's make another request. Before that, let's just introduce these two and Bobby Gapi. Where have you gone? Yeah, on Bob. Send this. Actually, it wasn't Safaricom disturbing me. Ni mtu amenitumia pesa. Nice. So we can see the callback that we're having here. See how easy it is to build locally. It's build to local and everything is working fine. One of the common problems that I've written here, let's just go here. Slides here. Tumefika wapi? Security, I'll talk about that. Tukimaliza B2C and B2B. One of the common problem is know who to blame. Because if you don't know exactly who to blame, trust you me, you'll spend 2 weeks integrating M-Pesa. Because you're there telling yourself that you're a better engineer than the Safaricom engineers. Many people say that, Auto Safaricom is going to build it. I'm not supporting them, but I know that Safaricom has better engineers than you. Build an app for the scale level of what M-Pesa processes. Iwork vizuri, alafu ndio kuja uniambie Safaricom engineers are not that good. So you spend a lot of time blaming, Daraja ni mbaya, this or this. Maybe it's even a very simple thing like your own code is not working well, but you're blaming the wrong person. You spend a lot of time. There's a time when I was starting off with React. When I was integrating state management, tulikuwa tunatumia Redux, Redux ilikuwa na boilerplate kubwa. I did the whole Redux setup for almost 2 hours. Hiyo una set vitu mingi karibu 5 files to just handle one state. Then after that, I started writing my own codes then something was not working well. Back on my head, I knew that hiyo Redis ndio inaleta shida. I disregarded work for 2 weeks. Hizo kazi nilikuwa nimefanya for 2 hours. Yote niliachana nayo. Only to realize that the problem was not even that Redis setup. That Redux setup. Ilikuwa tu, when you are initializing a React state, I was passing the wrong the wrong initial state hapo ndani, because I was expecting an object, so I was passing the empty curly braces. You know what error it brings. So from that day, I knew that if you blame the wrong guy, trust you me, you'll spend a lot of time debugging it the wrong way. You get an error in your code, know exactly where to check. And that's what happens with the problems with M-Pesa. You don't know exactly where to check. You keep blaming the wrong person, and you spend a lot of time. Me, sometimes somebody comes to me and I'm M-Pesa integration. I'll tell them, I'll integrate a SDK push for you for 15,000. And I'm there, oh, that's a lot. I'm saving you I'm saving you 2 weeks. Actually, yeah.
Nini inasema adi nini recording is going to stop in the next 2 minutes. Umeona hiyo messages? I don't know.
Sijaiona, but wacha tu stop.
Oh, sawa.
Wacha tu stop. Then tumemaliza the main things. Hizi zingine sasa they say about security and stuff.
Wazi.
So where was I? Tuendelee.
The 15,000. Ulikuwa hapo pa 15,000.
Oh, anamwambia I'm saving you, kumbe mnafuata. I'm saving you 2 weeks. You're an engineer, yes, you might be able to crack it, but I can do it for you for 1 hour and also give a documentation to you to save yourself 2 weeks. Anakataa, anaenda, ukirudi after 2 weeks, ndugu yangu, utasema niko na madharau, lakini
anakuambia I know someone cheaper,
anakuambia I know someone cheaper, but don't make a mistake.
Unamwambia very nice.
Your plan yako isipo work, don't make that mistake. But make sure the plan that you have will work.
Namwambia kuondolea kierere hapa, hata kuna kazi mingi ya kufanya. Very nice.
Okay, so I think we've done the SDK walkthrough. You've seen how we've handled the callback. So from here is now not related to Safaricom. That's why I say don't blame M-Pesa for anything. Whatever happens up and down, whatever happens inside here is not related to M-Pesa in any way. Provided you are receiving the callback, how you handle it, whether you want to save it to a database, whether you want to do this or that, that's your own problem. Provided you're getting this, you can get as clever as you want with it. So umepata kila kitu. Umepata M-Pesa receipt number, umepata the transaction date, umepata the phone number. The only thing that you should be worried about is when you make when you're handling it. Unaona hapa kuna arrays. So when you see this, this item is an array. So if you take these items and you receive them using the index of that array, you might face on a problem when somebody uses Fuliza to pay, because one of the keys will be missing and you might misplace the indexes of that array. So the best way to do is just map that array, create an object out of it, then get M-Pesa number, then get those keys from that array instead of getting the index of that array. Because using the indexes is very well okay with somebody who will pay normally, but mtu mwenye atatumia Fuliza kulipa, then one of the keys will get missing and your code might break. So be very careful as you handle it. Another thing, security. Make sure the callback URL is, the callback path here is secured enough, like in a way that hii inafaa ikuwe an environment variable. Unaona kitu iko hapa, it's supposed to be an environment variable. Let me just show you. I promised myself never touch the .env. Wacha niguse ingine. Mkono wangu ukielekea huko nikumbushe. So let's say M-Pesa callback endpoint. Save it here. A random thing that nobody can even ever guess. Because if somebody guesses this and you've not put up some other mechanisms, they can just check this body, they know the structure, send it to your endpoint and check out. I've tried a lot of sites and these people don't care. Walifuata tutorial YouTube, wakaona wana handle hivyo. Yeah. It was to touch that. So kitu ndafanya sasa, nitakuja kwa hii .env.example, nishakuja huko. So nakuja hapa sasa, this callback, I'll put it as a dynamic thing. So that hata mimi mwenyewe, I really don't know what it is. Right. Then huku sasa pia, I'll come here and also get it from the .env file. Then this should be, na vile JavaScript inakubali tu. Yani hata thing is just, even the highlight syntaxing is very okay. Like everything is just okay. Okay, so that's one of the security features that you can do. Make sure this thing is not guessable in any way. That's one. Number two, you can do something called inside here, before you even process anything, you can do something called IP whitelisting. Can never be fully secure, but at least try whitelisting. At least mtu akikuhack amefanya kazi, si ati somebody who is a beginner cybersecurity guy ameambiwa ku make sure if somebody gets into your system, they have at least figured out a lot of things. So you can do IP whitelisting. IP whitelisting is simply saying that, let's say you say const valid IPs, then it's an array here. Hapa ndani kuna array of whatever it is. Then hapa utasema tu if the IP, the request IP, whatever it is, sina saizi, but you can get the request IP from the request itself. If valid IPs dot includes, if it doesn't include the request IP, so if it doesn't include the request IP, then just end this thing from here. So that's simply IP whitelisting. So that means that unaweza hizi IPs una store wapi? You can get them in two places. Number one, you can get them in kwa GitHub yangu. Ikuja kwa GitHub yangu hapa. Okay, so repositories ziko wapi? No. Oh. Your repositories. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So ukikuja hapa kuna Daraja docs ziko hapa. So ukikuja kwa Daraja docs utapata hapa kwa utilities kuna whitelisted IP addresses. So hizi IP addresses zenye ziko hapa. Where do you get these ones from? Ukikuja kwa Daraja, ukuje kwa the docs, ukuje kwa this is the user nani yenye nilikuwa nawaambia. See what I'm looking for? I'm looking for IP addresses. See where I'm getting them. Aziko hapa, unakuja hapa kwa go live. Utazipata hapa. So why the hell are you putting callback IP whitelisting in going live? So these are the IPs that, and I doubt if these ones they change. Yes, they might change actually, but not in the recent times. So, and that's the job of you as a developer to do maintenance. So, but sidhani kama was na change, sidhani they really change. Sijui why they lead to add another server. Kuna server hizi zote just to handle one thing. But in case they change, that's one of the things that you can do, and they have recommended it actually, IP whitelisting, so that this the valid request that will be coming. It can be spoofed, yes, but at least weka so that afikirie hiyo sasa kuchange IP address on the request itself. So that's the second security that you can use. The third one is this, and this is the most reliable one. Hapa hivi, you can now do this. You can generate a unique identifier. So let's say const, we call it whatever, naming is problems. So you'll generate this and save it somewhere. Then pass it here, non-upper. These are just a normal URL. So where whatever is equal to the whatever that you passed there. Simply you'll just use this. So ikikuja hii callback yako hapa, ikikuja, the first thing that you're going to do is const, you'll have it maybe in your process.env. So something like you have it. So may save mahali a certain key, a hash value or anything. Iko hapo, then you pass it from huko. So ikikuja huko, then you check if whatever is not equal to request dot query param, dot query dot whatever is not equal to that, then reject the request from here. So this works all the time, and actually is the most preferred way to secure your callbacks. At least generate a random identifier huku. And the other day I was looking at a WordPress plugin, and the thing that I was looking at before recommending somebody to use that plugin was that whether they have secured their callback, and those guys have tried. Your callback here, your plugin ya jamaa wanajiita Ocean Concepts, I don't know. Yeah, those guys have tried as much as they can to put the security measures zenye ziko hapo ndani. Yeah, so those are the things that you can use to secure your callbacks. Be very, because unaona kwa STK push haina shida, because if anything goes wrong, unless somebody enters the pin. But for B2C payments are triggered by a click of a button. It doesn't care. There is no confirmation anywhere. So if you put a very a bad security measure in your B2C payments, hiyo ni pesa inaenda. Ndio maana unapata mara sijui kuna bank hacks and everything. That's what they're making. Like hiyo ikikuwa insecure in a way, hiyo ni pesa inaenda. There is no way they can stop that. There is no way they can stop that. So be very careful with handling these callbacks. So to that point, I think what else is remaining? Talking about B2C sasa. Yeah, B2C and B2B. So B2C is business to customer state. Provided you understand the two endpoints, the logic is the same. The logic is the same. Authorize, create the authorization token, pass it to the next token, and pass it to the next function that receives that. So for B2C, the only thing you have to be worried about is there's a key called initiator password. Again, blaming the wrong guys can make you ukae siku mrefu hapo ndani. Because, invite somebody up. Okay, so because ideally, ukikuja kwa hii documentation hapa, ideally kuna hii B2C certificate. Kuna certificate ya, there's a, I don't know if it's an SSL or whatever certificate that is used to generate an initiator key when you've used B2C. Ukikuja hapo utapata, ukikuja kwa B2C, there is this logic to encrypt a password. Unaona hii kitu si kubwa hivyo, but it uses the crypto package to use the certificate that is there, do all these takatakas just to get the security credential. Just to get the security credential. And remember, this security credential does never changes. Inabaki vile iko. Why should you do all this? Yet, it is provided here. Ukikuja kwa Daraja, the only problem is the user experience, but Daraja may provide almost everything. Ukikuja kwa Daraja, provided you have the password of your initiator user, just come hapa kwa Daraja, come to it. Unaona nikinavigate kwa docs in and log out. Let me just log in again. Yeah, so when I come up on my apps, trust you me, if there's somebody who's working for Safaricom here, you should improve on this, because what am I looking for? I'm looking for a tool where I can generate a security credential from a password, just giving a plain text password to give me a hashed password. But where am I getting it? Itakuja kwa my apps, test credentials. Unaona hapa. So just enter the password. Let's say the password is hello world. And I select the environment that I'm using. If it's sandbox, itatumia the sandbox certificate. If it's production, to use the production certificate to generate for you that. So next time on sandbox generate, and there it is. I'll just get this. This is your security credential. You don't have to go the heck of doing all that, because the certificates never change, and the security credential that you generate also doesn't change. So you do it once. Why should you write code to do something once? That's why they thought of creating this tool for that. But where they place it is not where the problem is. Aliweka hapa kwa test credentials. Kuja kwa test credentials ndio unapata hizo vitu. Actually, this is not test credentials. It's just generation of the whatever you generate, the security credential that is used ukipasa hapa. Kuja kwa Daraja APIs, ikuja kwa C2B B2C hapa. Utaiona iko hapa hivi. Unaona? This is the body, the request body to send money from a paybill to a user. So it requires this security credential, which is a value that has been hashed from the certificate and everything. Kuna a lot of things that is going on. Ukiwa na hapa iko hapa. This is the value that is obtained after encrypting the API initiator password. The password on Sandbox has been provisioned on the destinator. However, on production, the password is created when the user is being created on the. So the encrypting of the API password, these are code that you write by yourself. But you do it once, so there's no need of doing it because they are provided here. So come on, Sandbox, come on, so you can just generate it directly from here. And I believe it's used with not just that, kuna another APIs that are using it. Not just that, API konayo, you come here, transaction status, you come to the body here, security credential. All these are the same. So each security credential, it can be a pain when you want to generate it by yourself. But you can just come here, generate it, and paste it there, and it will never change. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Common problems, I've discussed them. C2B and B2C, I've touched on that. Now the part where you guys are getting an opportunity to roast me. In case you have any questions. Because for me, I'm done. Anybody with a question?
Mi naweza ulizia hiyo plugin. Kuna hiyo plugin ya WordPress ya M-Pesa umesemea. Ninaweza appreciate unganiambia ni gani?
Enda kwa kitabu ya Ocean Concepts.
Post?
Kuna wase wanajiita Ocean Concepts. Acha nikuoneshe hapa. Niko nayo locally, actually. I was trying to look into it. Because nilipoanza TikTok, I realized Wakenya wengi wanatumia WordPress.
Sana.
Nimeanza TikTok bana, just yesterday I received almost 3 calls. I have a WordPress site, I want M-Pesa. I have a WordPress site. My only answer is I don't do WordPress. That's the only answer I give.
Unajua, I guess, unajua wase wengi wana they opt for that cause unajua ni cheap. Unajua most of the clients.
That's why I don't do it, because somebody comes to you with the idea that this is cheap. So hapo washakuja na bei yake, sasa tunaanza aje tena. How to, where is this thing?
Have you interacted with it before? Like
yeah, it is. Yeah, I tried it out actually. I ran it locally. I didn't get the part of handling the callback because I was running the WordPress site locally. So later but here it is actually. Just come here, clone it. You can decide to clone it, then look at it. Kuna hizo files zote ziko hapa ndani. If you are a PHP developer, just look at it, angalia hizo files. Just look at the flow of the SDK push and everything, the security and everything. Kama iko sawa, and it's a complete plugin vile iko hivi. You can just download the zip and it's done.
Okay.
But you should look at, lazima angalie code hapo ndani ndio at least ukwe unajua unatumia nini.
So bado from that wewe ndio uta deal na vile uta save your data after umereceive.
No, they do everything for you. Actually ni plugin tu, like okay, install, they have a setup page. Hapo kwa hiyo setup page unaandika tu, you put the credentials iko hapa. Hata wame explain. You just get the setup page, una enter hizi vitu zote and you're done. Hakuna kitu kingine unafanya. There's nothing else to do. Any other question?
I'll check it out. Thank you.
Okay, hii issue yote ya kwa Sandbox iko sawa, but sijui kama unaweza rudilia pale pa how do you go like hapo pa niliona ukisema then nilikuwa na breakage ya internet kiasi. Hizo stories za apply paybill, sijui kama there is a nini advice unaweza pea mtu a quick way kufanya hivi ndio shift.
Yeah, the advice that I can give you is, one, if you're a developer, get your own paybill. Because when somebody comes to you, they expect that you have the domain expertise about M-Pesa integration, not just writing the code. You understand, you can guide them through the application and everything. But sasa, kuwa na paybill yako yenye iko live, so that me, I don't remember the last time I wrote on Sandbox other than today. because I have my own pay bills because I know it's just replacing the keys. So if I'm going to write that code in like a month, I'll guide that client that within this month, wait, finance processes as I continue on my end, because sometimes they can be hectic. So they expect you to have a company, all those things. If you're not prepared for it, it becomes a problem. One thing that I learned is that owning a company sio kitu kubwa vile mnafikiria, watu wengine wanafikirianga. Mimi kitambo nilikuwa nikisikia you have to have a company. Like you just think of the guys with suits and everything. No. Actually, it costs you very less. Na kuna mtu mwenye anaweza kutolea hata in like 3 days ama 2 days ama hata 1 day. So if you're a developer, just get the only hard part of getting a company is thinking of the name. Hiyo ndio shida kubwa yenye wewe inanipatanga. But other than that, so just make sure you register a company for the sake of it, or you can decide to use the business name registration. Although if you get the wrong agent, wanaanzanga kukusumbua na CR12 and everything. But ideally with the business name registration, it should work, and it's costing you 109 shillings actually. Kipea mtu na usifanye peke yako juu wewe uko na computer, enda kwa mtu cyber anajua hizo vitu, amefanyia watu wengi. So the same way I want to be treated as a developer, that usiniambie somebody can do it cheaper. It's the same way I'll treat the cyber guys. Hiyo ni kazi yake. Mpelekee mpeo 500 yake ama 300 yake akuprocessia hizo vitu. Acha kuanza kufanya trial and errors just because you have a laptop, just because you are an IT student. So just find your 950 shillings na shilingi 500 yako ya mtu wa cyber, enda pale mwambie kuregister hizo vitu, pata hizo vitu, go apply for the pay bill. Not that complicated. Sawa.
By the way, thanks, Paisa.
Okay, by the way, like now I try to access the LMS, but this is not yet there, like the course of content, like the documentation, not there.
Oh, I've not added the content, so let me just do this. Codedrees.com. I've not added the content unless I add it right now. Yeah, so kuna hii. Acha ni add to size. Hey, 400 enrolled students. Wow. This is just wow. I gave these guys a quiz now.
It's growing.
It's because it's free, that's why. Watu wanapenda vitu bure. Ngoja.
Hata isipokuwa free, unajua you expect at least, even if itakuwa charged, at least haitakaa.
I'm planning to start a 6 months long web development course from January.
That's a nice one.
Yeah, so if anybody would want to join, I gave you guys a quiz, and by the time I was posting a video, jamani alikuwa amepata 100 peke yake. Au wengine amekuja ametoka wapi? Let me add that resource that alikuwa nimesahau what I'm doing. Let me add the documentation here. Add a resource. Get a new resource.
Riz, ulitumia V0 ama?
Wewe bwana acha kuchoma. Unasema nini?
Oh, pole.
Hapa mbona unasema pole? That was just joking. Wewe unajua, uache kusema V0 bwana. Achana na hiyo kitu.
Yeah, nishaitumia kwa project ya nini? Ya uni.
Mbona muuliza kwanza?
Like every time naingia kwa hiyo ya kila mseni zinafanana.
Oh, that is ShadCN, sio V0 sasa. Wewe unaona confuse sasa. Utaja V0. That is ShadCN UI, sio V0.
Basi unajua.
V0 ni watu wavivu kama sisi.
No.
Okay, so the URL documentation. This is okay. Iko sawa zaidi. Let me just add this. create the resource. Done. So right now, if I come to here, I can create this as a new module. Ama niwatengenezee quiz alafu niwalipe. Mwende mfanye quiz moja. Hapana.
Unafaa utulipe ama si ndio tukulipe?
Nilipe mwenye atapata 100.
Oh.
Unda.
Ni reward actually.
Accepted.
Sawa.
Accepted.
Tomorrow.
Reward ikiwa 1K. Reward ikiwa 1K.
Yeah, the lesson here quickly. So it's here. So I can add the video link here. So Nikki get the recording, I'll add it also as another resource. Awesome. So right now it's added. So ukikuja kwa enrolled courses, if you're in the LMS na umeenroll hapo, kuja kwa continue learning, utaipata hapo as a module. Kuja hapa hivi, utaipata hapo. Then here is the resource. You can visit the link directly from there. Hiyo ni sawa. I'll add some more resources hapo. Hiyo quiz ni poa tukijua. Hey, by the way, there's one thing that niliweka kwa hii quiz yenye wacha tu, just wait. There's some things that makes it difficult. Najiuliza kwa nini watu wapati 100. Ukienda ukiattempt one of it, you'll understand why people are not getting 100. Actually, I can come here and show you. Otherwise, if you have a question, you can ask. If you still want to listen to my stories, you can remain. Feel like you need to leave, you can leave at your own pleasure. Right now, actually, the session should have been completed. Unless anybody has any, call them parting shots. Anybody who has anything probably to say about the session generally, and in case we hold another session, what we need to improve on and what we need to make even better. Yeah, anybody from the audience, just raise your hand and we'll appreciate your feedback. Somebody else other than Brian, after that person. Yeah, let's start with Nancy. Yeah, Nancy Mwai. Brian umeongea sana. Yeah, Nancy Mwai, you can just unmute and speak.
Mkoaje?
Poa sana.
How are you guys?
I'm fine, man.
So mimi ndi vile sitaki kusema juu nilisikia watu wakisema kuja ama developer. Mnaambiwa ni programmer, but I'm kind of into something like machine learning. Na by the way, hii nini yako umehost. Although nimekuwa nikikatakata kidogo, but at least nimejibamba sana bana. I just found it in a group, niko bado nasoma, niko chuo nafanya computer science. I just found it kwa group fulani ya GDSC, so the Google Development Club, and then I click the link, so nikuje nione tu what's happening. And then the content was like the content was nice by the way. So nilikuwa nauliza
Uliza.
About nilikuwa natengeneza an app ya React Native ya kuuzisha about how Comrade wanafaa kushare businesses. The app is like 90% done, but sasa unaona place ya pesa na something about siezi, kuna vile naogopa kuweka React Native kuiunganisha huko ndani nianze kuweka vitu kama something like the backend ya nodejs. Sipendi Express. I work with mostly Django. Yeah, niko Python sana. So I was just asking mtu anishie, kuna umefanya hiyo project ya Django ama unaweza iguzia at least nipate grips ya Daraja APIs na Django, ama unisaidie na hiyo nini the GitHub. Yeah.
Okay. Bro, hata okay, umesema upendi Express. Hata Express pia ni kama ikupendi.
Yeah,
mnapendana na Express mpelekane wapi?
mimi
Was that
napenda
necessary?
That's on a light note actually.
I mostly use Next.js. I like it. I have a lot of projects with Django.
Wachana na neno. Just leave alone the word liking.
Uh-huh.
You have no business liking programming languages and loving them.
Uh-huh.
Utakufa vibaya wewe. Nakuhurumia.
Hapana bana, mimi napenda Python na JavaScript part ya Next.js. I like
those things will never love you back, my friend.
They love me. I know that.
Anyway, take it as a challenge and try to implement whatever you want to implement. Provided you know the architecture that you're supposed to follow, you know the design, the system design, you have it on your head. Whatever the tool that you use, you should be able to manage it. And it should be a challenge, because if you're a student and you have something that you need to build, trust you me, that's the best way to do it. Just challenge yourself to do it. There are a lot of resources out there.
So I was asking, is it integrate? Is the Daraja APIs can it be integrated with the Django backend? The Daraja APIs.
Yes. Daraja just provides a REST API, so it's just a matter of making requests and getting responses back.
So it's workable
with any server-side language. Yes.
Yeah, you know, there was a day when I was building the app, I was trying to build an image to store image to my backend and I tried with Firebase. By the way, Firebase, the Google Cloud, it's not free. I tried to enter my credit card, it's not working, and I was like, yo, what's happening to me right now? And I couldn't even sleep. And I'm a programmer. A simple bug.
Okay. So thanks for that. Next, tuko na Muchigi, somebody.
Hello guys.
Hello to you. Na usianze mambo za huyo jamaa ametoka hapa, because whatever nilikuwa nataka nimwambie, unakumbuka deza mimi nasemanga nikisema Eldoret nasema city.
Shockingly enough, niko Eldoret.
That's what I wanted to do to him actually.
Anyway, that's fine. Anyway, nime nice. Yeah, it's my first time here. Nime nice. Continue maze. Usikie umeni-inspire a lot. Though mimi nimekuwa nikiprogram kidogo, though I'm an app developer. Nime nice sana, by the way. Be sharing the links. Tutakuwa hapo hivyo. Nime nice sana. Thanks so much.
Thank you too for joining in.
Okay.
Else? Yes, Brian Riant. Somebody. Yeah, Brian.
Yes, thank you. Mimi nimeingia nikiwa nimechelewa, but I've learned a lot from you, and maybe I would like to encourage you to continue doing it, and hata sisi Kenya tufike the Silicon the Savannah, so it was Silicon Savannah, tufike there. And nilikuwa nazunguka sana in the documentation ya Daraja API, those things. Although they are easy, you have shown the understanding. Now you have enlightened me. Yes, thank you.
Welcome, man. Who else is here? Rayhan Louis. Hi.
Nilikuwa tu kuappreciate. Niliona msi anakuhype sana TikTok. Sasa siko na kujua. So nika search page yako nini nikapata website yako na vitu nafanya. So nime appreciate, hadi nimejionea.
Is the hype real ama alikuwa anachocha?
Alisema kuna msi anaitwa Riz hapo bana, amempea imposter syndrome. Ni anakuwa na microphone hivi. Okay, hapo tu TikTok. So nime appreciate your session, and nilikuwa nauliza, is it worth it like kuweka package ya nini tuseme framework nafanya like tu package yake ni worth it? Yeah, hii M-Pesa integration.
Yeah, if you can contribute to the community, well and good. Just create a package and others will use. Ama alikuwa unamaanisha nini?
Yeah, hivyo like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Fine.
Who else is here? War Bank.
Okay. Yeah. For those in Kenya, actually it's evening hours, so I can just say it. And we are going to the midnight. By the way, okay. What I want to say is that the class is amazing, and it is very well to what I was expecting from the TikTok. It has come to reality that I've went through. Just some few questions I want to ask is that if someone want to reach out to you, will they reach out? Because already I have your website that I have seen your email and your phone number from there. So I have the same project that I'm working on, but it is integrating the M-Pesa. Maybe someone want to make a payment on the double transaction whereby you are being requested again by the M-Pesa. So if I will have any challenge from there, will I reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. If you have my WhatsApp number, you can just reach out to me, no issues. The only thing that don't do, don't write hello.
Okay.
A text kama mtu mkubwa.
And don't ask me, are you okay? No, don't do that.
A text kama mtu mkubwa. I'm
Just
so and
come,
so. I want
come with
this.
full implementation of what you want. Mambo ya kuulizana, how are you?
Okay. That person who don't know how to do the formal education by the formal communication, by the way, mimi naanza tu na kenye nilikuwa nataka.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But the easiest way is just to give me a call. I think that's better.
Okay, so.
Rodney Areri.
Yes, hello. My name is Rodney, and I joined the class late, but at least nilipata kitu nilikuwa nahitaji. That callback section is what nimekuwa nikisumbuka sana with the Django side and Django and Python side. But I was also asking that you handle different APIs like the KRA API and bank APIs.
Yeah, sure I do. I worked with a lot of APIs actually.
Maybe you can highlight tusaidie kama sisi majunior tunaingia kwa hii market, tujue vitu tunaweza handle. Juu unajua zingine tunaziona hapa na tujui how to handle them.
It's okay. How long have you been writing code? Since the first time you wrote your first line of code. How long is it?
Okay, for me, my major course is a Bachelor of Science Physics, but I have an interest in coding. So nimekuwa nikifanya web development since almost last year mwezi wa 9 hivyo.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry
I do use.
Yeah, that's okay. Now,
Okay.
let me tell you something. There's a guy that I met. Okay, these guys that you meet today, they tell you I'm a beginner. You meet them again after 1 year, they still tell you they're a beginner. What the hell were you doing for the last 1 year to still call yourself a beginner? Don't grade yourself. Like the very first step to become whatever you want to become is to trust in yourself. Mimi mtu akiniambia akianza tu whatever, nobody asked anybody about their expertise level, but where did the idea of being a beginner come from? It's because you have kind of an imposter syndrome, or there's something that you don't believe in yourself or anything. That what I would advise is, if you know you're a beginner, let that remain. Like, I know I'm a beginner. I know this is what I can do, but let me not expose to people that I'm a beginner, right? Because you need opportunities out here. You need gigs, you need jobs. And the moment you start running around advertising yourself as a beginner, trust you me, if you it will be very difficult for you. So many things you'll be learning as you do. And the only way to learn is to get those opportunities. And you can't get those opportunities if you present yourself as a beginner. let other people call you that, but never interview or never introduce yourself as I am a beginner. More so if you've written code for a year.
Okay, let me just interrupt for this question only. That is there an API that can be used to fund a wallet of a Bitcoin using M-Pesa?
I'm not sure about that, bro. But I believe there are people who are building such solutions. But for me, I'm not into cryptocurrency and the Web3 and the blockchain stuff.
I think there is one I heard of today. Is it Fango Africa? Maybe you can check out. But I feel like they are still doing the development, I guess. Fango Africa, maybe you can check out.
Awesome. So I think we should be done by now. Yeah.
Reason you release an off-topic question. How is nini node inakupeleka aje? Because me basically nasikia node inanichosha sasa. Mostly when it comes to easy packages, upgrade, and now when you do the upgrade, the whole project is broken. Because right now I've been battling a build for the last, I guess, 72 hours. Just because of an upgrade. Sasa sijui if containerization is the way to go, na ukishaamua ukishapata upgrade kwanza uachane nazo ama itakuwaje? I don't really know.
I'm not sure about if Node.js has breaking changes on their updates.
Exactly.
I don't not unless you're using packages from people who don't maintain them. But Node.js as Node.js itself. I have a project that runs on Node.js, I don't know, 16 or something, and it works fine.
That's okay.
I don't know whether there are some breaking changes that come up.
But have you tried to upgrade it? Because actually I was working for some organization, alafu walikuanga na system ya load management iko on Node nini iko React 16. So you can okay, because of the unajua the upgraded React basically.
Yeah, now the problem, now the problem
some
at the
security
library
features and so on.
The problem are now the library is not. I thought you were talking about Node and updating the Node versions. I thought you were talking about if it's libraries, then that's specific to those specific libraries.
Hey, it's one hata sijui.
Only just use the LTS versions. They never introduce breaking changes that much.
Okay.
But if you containerize them also, the better.
Because at least you building for what's there. Unajua saa zingine pia inakujanga, most of the issues I guess zinakuja basically time una run on a different machine. Tuseme rebuild on Node maybe 17 and that time React 18 was not supported by Node 17. So unapata like there is an issue ukienda kwa Node kama 20 hivi.
Yeah.
So I guess containerizing them ina make it a little bit easier because ile Node version ulijenga nayo ndio bado ukienda kunini build utabuild nayo. Don't know. But right now I've been building a React native.
So let's have just one more person, then we can call it a night. Time imeenda sana.
Okay.
Muchigi, you had spoken. Anybody else? I don't think if there's anybody else. Kelvin Nyaga, you also spoke. What is it that you guys want to say?
Okay, mimi niko na swali moja. Actually, it's just like an advice from you. I just graduated, I started building SaaS kiasi hivyo, and I'm having a big challenge to monetize my project. So, like, I build a project. For example, I have a circle management system offering some new vitu nimenotice haziko kwa zingine maybe. So there is this thing, can you maybe ni advise to in like 2 words how I can expound, nawezaje convince watu in a more bigger scale hivyo, that I can offer the
Okay,
solution.
okay. For me in SaaS, what I've realized is the biggest problem people are facing right now is money. So build projects that solve money as a problem. If I help you to earn, then most probably you're going to take it. So how can you even make me get more money? Because with the traditional management systems, convincing somebody to pick them up, because a management system solves the other efficiency issues, but it's something that they have to budget for. But if I'm solving a problem that will bring you more money, then my powers of convincing you are high. For me, I work on SaaS projects that help people make more money. That's something that works, or something like, because trust you me, I created those, whatever the management systems that I used to create, but Kenyan companies are very rigid, and by the time they accept your proposal, there's a lot of company politics that you need to play, Uko. And unless you know how to play the politics, the company politics, then you're going to achieve something like finding somebody who is very close to the decision makers, calling them for a coffee somewhere, trying to convince them. Then now he'll take the message to the company. So if you can work on the communication skills, identifying somebody who has a say in that institution, finding a way to reach him outside the company, convincing that one individual person in whatever way that, but the thing is, money is the problem. So solve his money problems. I know what you understand actually. Try to solve his money problems, then this guy is going to say a word for you. Other than that, it's very difficult to sell these traditional management systems. Normally, you might think that you're solving a problem to them, but they don't care. So I'll be ending the session now. Thank you very much for attending, and you guys have a great night.
Same to you.